All right, hi everyone. So we're back for a third hour, and we were just heading into conflict, and this, I believe, will be our first dice roll of Burning Wheel. So we're gonna take this slow and kind of like look into how this works, because I'm going to
that's
have to kind of learn as you learn because I need to brush up on these things. So if you look in handouts, there are two things in handouts. There's procedure 1 and procedure 2. If you look at procedure, um, it has like a chart of how does this actually work. So the first thing we need to do is we need to establish an intent, and basically in this case, Nikki, you're the instigator here. What do you want?
Once again, I want to kick the underling of
Ah,
Mrs. Stewart Pope in the nads.
absolutely, but that's not what I'm. I mean, like, what do you want to accomplish in this conflict? Right, you're fighting these guys. You want to beat these people up, but for what
Yeah.
purpose? What do you mean to achieve in doing this?
To break and intimidate them
Right, in order to do what?
in order to pass on to basically warn them against refusing powerful people when they come to you with offers you shouldn't refuse.
Okay, yeah, that works. So your intent is to teach these people the error of crossing the criminal the criminal elements that have been approaching them.
Yes, thank you for abbreviating that for me.
Cool. And and you mean to do this through violence? You mean to beat them senseless? Is that correct?
Essentially, yes.
Okay. So that is your intent, and your task is like I want to teach these people the error of their ways and make them more inclined to cooperate. And your task is I want to do this by beating them physically until they yield or until they get this message. So that is intent and task. This is a versus test because they're gonna fight back.
Of course.
No.
Indeed. Let's see. What will you? How will you be beating them up? What skill will you be using to do that?
Let's see what we've got.
Maybe
Good
the
check.
bare-fisted because you're kicking?
Whittling.
Of the skills
Basket
I have.
weaving.
Do you have
Yeah.
brawling or boxing?
Do you know, I don't have any skill related to physical combat.
All right. In that case, it would be the root of brawling, which would be power. So you roll off your power. Your power is the thing you'll be rolling. You'll be rolling
Yep.
your power exponent.
So that's 3 then.
Yeah. And let's see. Before we go into the actual roll, we look into, because you're not alone in doing this. You have help.
Yes.
A significant amount of it, in fact. So, versus test, the number of successes rolled by the opponent is the base obstacle. Okay. For graduated test, test the base obstacle 1. Any tools? No. You don't have any advantage or disadvantage. Spend 1 fate to ignore super blah 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 blah. Add bonus dice. Do you have any traits that let you fight better? Any one of you?
Does that include me?
Actually, that's not actually relevant. It's if Nikki has one.
Don't think so. They all seem to be personality traits.
All right.
Well, but less being paranoid, odd, nihilistic, or callous helps in a fight somehow.
No, it does not in this case. All right, and you have helping dice. You have help from your crew. Stats can help stats, so they're gonna toss in power, all of them. So you have 2 for your henchman and 1 for Evelyn. So you have three dice more, so you have 6 die. And the two of you are helping as well?
Yep. Why
Alright.
not?
Not unless I specifically have to turn the tide of battle.
Yeah, but that's it, right? The either you add a helping die or you don't. And in this case, what you're telling me is, if necessary, I get involved, meaning you get involved.
Okay.
So for you in your case, I mean you can opt to not get involved if you want to, but that would mean not giving Chris a helping die. There are good things and bad things from this. Giving him a helping die will make it easier for him to win, and by extension, your new employer will win. Not giving him a helping die will make it not harder, but it will not improve his odds of winning. But if he fucks it up, if he fails, you don't get included in the immediate consequences. You don't get beat up in return if you don't join in.
I think I will not join in. I'll be happy to let my brother join in, but I'll stay out of this.
All right. Then the question is, AJ, your strength. What is your strength exponent?
Power.
Sorry,
My power is 5.
the power exponent is 5. That means that you add 2 instead of 1 helping die.
I
So
told you he was a beast.
you have 6 helping dice. You have 6 dice in all, and then you get 2 more from Minomir. So
Okay.
you're up to 8.
Yep.
He was
And
told he had a job now, so he better do it.
just roll against obstacle 1.
So how do I?
So what you want to do is you want to open your character sheet. You want to go into stats and skills. You want to click your dice next to power. And that will then open an input value. In modifiers, you add 5 dice for the help you're getting.
Yep.
And
then-
you submit. And then it says,
Yeah.
do you want to spend Arthur? And you don't have any Arthur to spend.
So submit that and base obstacle.
Yeah, and the base obstacle for this test is 1, and his group will then oppose you, and the ones who come up with, holy crap.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay, that's, yes indeed, 6 successes. Okay,
Ow. But it is obstacle 1.
Yeah.
alright, so we'll have Mr. Stuart Pope throw some fists around too. And he does not know any martial arts either, although I did describe him as putting his hands up in a boxing motion. That is more a matter of monkey see, monkey do than it is a matter of him actually being a fighter.
So he's seeing them do that to look cool, and then he's doing it too, because it looks like it helps.
Most people know how to throw a punch, but not all people know how to do it well.
Exactly.
Um,
So nice.
I should have asked if you wanted to fork in something, but I don't think you had anything to fork, so never mind that.
There will be no forking in my establishment, thank you.
What?
Indeed. Actually, we'll... Yeah. Okay. So... Let's see, he rolls... Well, he has 2 helping dice from his boys, so... And then he rolls against obstacle... He rolls against obstacle 6, strictly speaking, because that's what you rolled.
Oh shit.
2 successes versus
no.
a critical. Oh well.
None of that.
Poor
Okay,
man.
so this is a wipe. You guys overpower them. What does that look like? You start the fight out by kicking one of them in the nads, sending him to the floor, and Evelyn and one of your guys are on him immediately, just kicking his face into the floorboards. And then what's Minomir's contribution to the fight?
He helps mainly with the quarterstaff.
Yeah.
It's a long range, and he is apparently very good at hitting just the right spot on top of the head so you go down.
Right, so you bring a staff to a fist fight and basically clean house. One of the lads
Not
is
touching
trying.
them, yeah.
I think you get the attention of Mr. Pope, who kind of he tries to get close to you, to get inside your guard where your staff won't help you and punch you, but you just keep him at bay with the staff and then you take him down. What does that look like?
I imagine when he tries to do that, it's more like I have a longer arm than you, so holding it against his face, but this time it's just the staff. And when he had looked so disgusted at just looking at Minnow after he came in, the thought, and it's quite clear that he tries to get in on him, and the only thing Minnow says, ew, no, and then just pushes him away with the staff and wraps him over the head.
You push him away, and the last of Nikki's men like grab him from behind in a full Nelson, and your staff just comes down and clobbers this guy on the head, and he just goes out and falls to the ground. And as like you've basically knocked them all down. Like Evelyn is grabbing Mr. Pope and kind of slapping him awake, like, "Come on, get up, sunshine, get up." And you're absolutely victorious in this endeavor, beating them senseless. Well done.
The defenseless senseless.
Yep.
I would like to clap sarcastically once they're done beating them.
Your teacher is standing next to you, looking displeased at you as you clap sarcastically. It's kind of he. I think there's a moment where he kind of sends you a glare, and he's like, "Why didn't you help? Why didn't you?" Oh well, never mind.
I clearly didn't hear him.
Yeah.
No, clearly.
All right, so let's just for the post conflict roundup. So you, Chris, you get a routine power test. So what's your power presently, and will you benefit from? Would you benefit from a routine test?
What?
I see. There is. Yeah, no, you would not. So you need a difficult power test. Okay, to get any advancement. Are you still here, Chris?
Hello, yes.
Hello, good. All right, so you don't get any checks to advance your power. However,
No.
the people helping you might. So you effectively, when you were rolling, you counted as rolling against obstacle 2. Is any one of you so weak that an obstacle 2 test would count for advancement?
No, I have 5.
Okay, and Rasmus is pretty
I might have been, but I didn't participate.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, none of your men are either. Okay, so this roll in particular does not advance your skills. It needs to be a bit harder. For you, the instigator, for you, the difficulty of the check is of course massively reduced because you had so much help. So you would have a hard time getting a really good, like a really hard power check with help. But the people helping you, they check difficulty respective to their personal exponent and not the final dice pool you have, which is why helping people is a good way of earning difficult checks.
Okay.
I have no idea what you just said.
This essentially what I said is helping people is good for advancing your skills and your stats. But in this case, no one advanced because they put up such a miserable fight.
Fair enough. I'm sure I'll be confused once I get to figure out if I can advance something.
Yep, don't worry. We'll have a look at this every time we need to roll the dice. We'll have a look at this and
Cool.
it'll make sense in time. All right, so you wipe the floor with these gentlemen, and Evelyn is slapping Mr. Pope awake, and he comes to, He's got a big swell on his head, like a big purple spot. You basically she pulls him to his feet. This huge fat person, this little stocky girl, just pulls him up and kind of sits him down and lets you lot deal what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. So I, while he's down, I grip him by the shoulder, and I say to him, "Well, Mr. Pope, I do hope you've learned something from this."
You're all animals. Please don't hurt me. Don't hurt the boys.
Oh, see that? There's that cooperative attitude we're looking for. Why wasn't that there the first time when people came around and asked you nicely to do as they wanted?
He doesn't answer. He looks. You can see like defiance forming in his on his lips, but you can also see fear forming in his eyes, and he just swallows the words.
Now, this is as far as we'll go. Obviously, we don't want to do you or your boys or your property any more damage. You've got a business to run after all. But I don't want to have to get called out here to do this shit again. So the next time someone comes to you with an offer that you can't refuse, don't fucking refuse it. You understand what I'm saying?
I won't. I won't.
Jolly good. You get yourself some recovery, and I wish you a very good day, Mr. Pope. All right, people, let's be on our way.
Yeah, I think the people start like filing out. One of your boys like is kicking a stool over as he walks out, and kind of like just like shooting his chest forward, like what like one of the boys who's just coming to. And Evelyn yanks her dagger out of the desk and follows suit. Smiling at Minnow as she does so. She's like, yeah, seems to be a good acquisition.
Minna just grins back and looks over at Crow with the old man. Well,
Crow shrugs and follows.
what?
Crow shrugs and follows. At a safe distance.
Yeah, your teacher, your Kong Huai, he follows too. It's a bit like he's using you to keep like a bit of distance between himself and the big scary men and the small scary woman. But he's still following suit.
I think perhaps on the way. I don't know if he went in with us.
He stood in the entrance with you.
All right, so he knows what's going down.
Yeah.
There's no need to explain to him.
Oh, he's not like he objects or anything, right? This is
No,
pretty
it's more
standard
like
practice from where you're from.
I mean, if he went in, if he had stayed outside, thinking we would help the other guy, and then suddenly we came out with these people, he might have gotten the wrong idea.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but no, yeah, he witnessed it.
Oh, good.
He also seems to approve. Like it seems to be to him at least, it seems to be a sound decision that you sided with the people who had sharp objects.
I think actually because he didn't participate in the actual fighting, Yahuji makes an extra effort of looking a little more spooky, just to counteract that.
Yeah, you don't need to make much of an effort in that regard.
Nope, but it never hurts.
Minnow falls in with Crow as they walk. It's kind of practice that they just walk together because people find them both spoopy, but they're really scared of.
In that case, in an effort to appear spooky, Crow makes sure that their pace matches, so that they're
So you lock stride.
exactly.
Oh, yikes.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh yes. And so seeing them do this, Nick, he has one last thing to he realizes he wants to do. Looking back at the dishevelled form of Stuart Pope, he also says, "Oh, and one more thing, good sir. I hope you learn from this. Don't make an enemy of the Stormlanders, because then if you do, well, this kind of shit happens, doesn't it? Good day." And carries on.
You're like when I'm imagining the two spooky twins walking walking in lockstep. I'm imagining the Salamanca cousins from Breaking Bad.
Oh God.
Who?
Don't talk about jumpstarting. You just go on.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
I have no idea who it is.
It doesn't matter.
At least Minnow picks up Woolsey outside and then drags the goat along.
Yeah, the huge goat-looking Strider follows along. Yeah,
Very aggressive goat. There is a goat and then there's a Strider, and a Strider looks like, well, if a goat was a mule, this is a horse.
all right.
Yes,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
and a workhorse at that.
As you exit the building, you see across the way, sitting at the bench where you left him, is Mr. Owen Gray, who noticed that you exit the building and raises his cup of whatever in salute. It's like, oh, jolly good.
low to be of service, sir.
So I take it that everything went off without a hitch?
Indeed, we got the end result we wanted, sir. He will not be saying no the second time around.
I trust your judgment in this. Well, this seems it could be very beneficial to us. Now, if you don't mind, should we talk the details over one last time?
I think perhaps we should, sir.
All right. Basically, yeah. So essentially, what this is we have another test here, but this is for you. You want to basically do this to improve the playing field for your enterprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely earned yourself advantage for accomplishing this. So
Okay.
whatever I ask you to roll, take advantage. So
Okay.
you have an intent here. Again, you want to have this guy positively predisposed as he is, join with you and cooperate with you in running in redistributing your
Product.
illicit goods.
Yes.
And join with you in inglorious criminal partnership and whatever that entails.
Yes.
So okay, that is your intent. How do you set about doing this?
Well, going over the details would and require a degree of persuasion, of discussing the necessities of the sort of the enterprise and of the planned movements without going into specific details. Partly because it keeps his hands clean of knowing too much, and also because Nicholas is a paranoid son of a bitch who doesn't trust him as far as he can throw him.
And he's a fat man, so we can't throw him that far.
Mm.
Right. So I heard persuasion, which is a skill. So
Yes.
Let's have a look and see if persuasion would be useful to you here. It's the art of convincing someone to act on your behalf because it's in his best interest. An exchange of agreements. One carefully crafts a suggestion for the victim to agree with. With luck, he'll think it was his idea in the first place. The obstacle is the will exponent for the intended victim. All right, so yeah, so I'm actually teetering on, like, I'm questioning whether or not I should make you roll for this at all, because you did a bang up job impressing him. So
I leave it entirely to your discretion as the game master.
all right, In that case, what we'll wind up doing is you. Do you have persuasion, the skill?
I do have persuasion, the skill.
Yeah. What's your exponent?
4.
All right. So take that skill of 4. And do you have anything you would like to fork into this roll, like something you think could add to your chances of convincing him?
In terms of other skills,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say possibly also benefit from lore-wise, because obviously being lore-wise, knowing how to make this enterprise work without drawing the attention of the local Rozzers.
So you kind of in the conversation you leverage your knowledge of how the law works as an argument in your favor, right? Like, look at what I know. Aren't I just totally reliable as a business partner?
Yes.
How this shit, kind of.
If we're discussing sort of how we financially benefit between us, haggling might be useful.
Absolutely.
And inconspicuous on the basis that is exactly what we aim to be.
I don't think inconspicuous is suitable, because you're very demonstrably not being inconspicuous right now.
That's true.
That would help you if you wanted to keep if your intent was to keep the conversation hush hush, then you could definitely use inconspicuous. But in this case, that's not really what's up in the air. It's whether or not you convince him to engage in a partnership with you. I see you have grift-wise. Definitely add that.
Okay, grift-wise.
Because grifting is the illicit earning of money, right? So.
Yes, of course.
All right. So you have grift-wise, haggling, and lore-wise as forks.
So that's
So you get 3 extra dice for your persuasion.
Okay, so let's click the dice.
And then let's see.
Let me do it.
Help advantage dice.
So modifier of 3. An advantage die.
Woo.
Yeah, and take an advantage die for resolving the issue in there. Definitely.
That's 4 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're up to a dice pool of 8. And
Okay,
you're rolling against an obstacle of his will, which is 4.
Interesting. Let's see how this turns out.
Not a bad will for a man.
It's not so good. It's not goo.
Wonderful. Actually, I'm doing. I did a boo boo. I should have informed you what would be the result if you failed. So we could have spoken of that before you rolled. But nevertheless, that's a lot of ones in there. Okay, so you make your pitch, and he's definitely still impressed with what you've done. So I think what basically happens here is he absolutely agrees to join your enterprises. However, he's walking away from there with a slightly skewed view of your partnership, right? He believes himself to be the more important end of this relationship rather than you being equal partners. He thinks that he has the greater hand on this. He has the more to say, and that may provide complications for you in your future relations.
It may, or it may even be to our advantage.
It may, if you can spin it the right way, then absolutely. So, but for now at least, so that you trail off in this end, and he winds up, he stands up, dusts himself off, extends a hand to shake yours, and says, "Well, I believe this will be a very fruitful partnership, and we look forward to having you in our enterprise. This will be a good endeavor. I can feel it. This." You do what you do best, and with our help, I'm sure we will make you a very wealthy man.
It's all we can hope for. We aim to please you, sir.
Very good.
So I take his hand, shake it, and
he and his people like he makes his farewell, and his people follow him as he disappears down the thoroughfare.
I wait very carefully and explicitly until him and anyone who may be in his employ is out of earshot.
Yeah.
Before I then turn back to the group and just say, "Arrogant twat, don't you think?"
I think so. But then again, think we can use arrogant twats. Isn't that what you always say?
Oh, absolutely. More malleable. Anyway, we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming 2 bright new faces to our sterling enterprise. So, while we take you back to your accommodation and our place of operation, is there anything else we can tell you, kind sirs? He says it obviously to the twins and their wizened old mentor.
By the way, Chris,
Yes.
just so mark a routine falsehood test.
Routine, so like that?
Oh wait, you rolled falsehood.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, never mind. Your falsehood and your persuasion is the same, so it didn't make any difference.
Okay, so yeah.
You meant you rolled falsehood, but we agreed you were using perception, of course. So yeah, mark a routine persuasion test.
Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, yes, that's fine.
Good.
It could have been different. It could have been so much different if I hadn't.
Don't know if the algorithms favor honesty.
Okay.
I hope not.
Oh dear. Well, either way.
Roll it.
Well, I don't know if there's anything you can tell us, but I must say, Mr.
Smolak, sir. Nicholas Smolak.
In that case, Mr. Smolak, you have incredible luck. Out of all the refugees from the Stormlands you could have picked up, you picked the strongest and most powerful. Of course, not in terms of money, but we can discuss that elsewhere.
Money is
We can.
entirely different from power, my young student, but you know that already.
You're not.
He is correct, sir. These young men will suit you just fine. I have made sure of that. This one in particular, I am sure you can put him to great use.
Minnow instantly rolls his eyes.
Yes. As has been said, we shall discuss this once we head to our place of operation. If you would be so good as to follow me. Oh, and by the way, please, we're all family together now. Call me Nikki.
Isn't that a woman's name?
I've been told that enough times. I don't give a shit. Better than Nico. I can't fucking stand Nico. It's a horrible name.
So Evelyn, who's cleaning her nails with this dirk she's been holding, she sends you a sharp glance, Jiaoxi, when you say that, and she's like, "Yeah, what's the fucking problem with that? You're trying to infer something, you piece of shit. I'll stab you." And she flashes you a grin as if that's a joke that you should get.
In that case, I choose to get in. And instead he just says dryly, "Well, if Mr. Smolak prefers Mrs. Smolak, it's none of my business, really."
I like you. You get that, Nikki?
I do indeed. He is a card. An absolute joker. I love someone with a sense of humour. He says, lying through his teeth.
I personally think he's a bit of a freak.
Oh, yeah. About that. And how do you look? Again, lost for words, because I don't think he's ever actually had to explain his power that much, or his curse rather, that often. So, as you might have noticed, I can be utterly terrifying. He says and looks at the men.
They pointedly don't look at you, but look somewhere else.
He smiles a devilish grin before continuing.
Which sets Nikki to laugh. So I gather.
Unfortunately, that seems to be a thing I can't really help.
No, but I'm sure you find fantastic ways of making it useful to yourself.
He does a kind of, yeah, of course, nod, and says, though you will probably find that it can be problematic in tight quarters.
Hmm. I assume that was basically why you didn't get stuck in with the rest of us earlier.
I find that people
Yep.
fight better when they're not panicking.
I assumed it was because you didn't have a cock.
I
You know,
think
it's about to say something, and then he stops himself, sidesteps away from Crow before saying it. Oh, he has one, he just can't use it.
I think Yahauji smiles the fakest smiles at her and just approaches.
Yeah, so absolutely, I get where you're coming from. So let's just for funsies.
Roll steel, little girl.
Yeah, boom.
Boom.
Ooh.
Wow.
All right,
More
so
successes.
Obstacle 1?
yeah, there's no obstacle for steel tests. It's just you subtract whatever you roll from your hesitation.
Oh, okay.
If she has a good hesitation, then good for her.
So that means that she does what?
Yeah, let's see. She's so you approach her and she has like this moment where she, you know, she's grinning at you, like he has this shit-eating grin on her face, especially after Minnow just made the point he did. And then you step closer and the smile disappears. And she just stands there, stock still for a moment. You know it, right? Because you know this reaction in people, so you notice, of course, immediately her eyes going wide, her knuckles whitening around the grip of the knife she's holding, and her other
I make
hand.
sure to maintain eye contact in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. So she has this moment where she just freezes, and she breathes erratically, like, and then there's just it lasts only a couple of heartbeats, and then she has a brief intake of air, and she calms herself, and she seems to be trying to hide the fact that she was just afraid for her life, and she's doing a somewhat shitty job of it.
Where till Minnow then comments, but that aside, you really shouldn't piss him off.
So I gather. Can we please not have fighting amongst us right now? It is not disruptive, non-productive, and quite frankly, it wastes everyone's time.
Of course.
Evelyn looks at her feet, and then bears another glance at Xiaoxi, shuddering and attempting to hide it, and then she kind of just steps up to you, Nikki, and falls in step.
Mm-hmm. Nicky being the person he is, I suppose, pats her on the shoulder in that kind of tough luck. It makes it look like a tough luck gesture between mates,
Tough luck, Cookie.
but he at the end of it he holds onto her shoulder and just squeezes it gently to say that just as a sign of affection, to say, yeah, that was horrible, I hope you're okay.
She exchanges a glance with you, and you see appreciation slowly replace fear, and then the normal streak of hardness comes into her eyes, and she
Yep.
gives you a little shove, like a little shoulder bump, as if not in public, pig.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yep.
obvious is that to the rest of us? Who has observation as a skill?
Yeah, the observation is to notice hidden shit. So unless Chris, you want this to be, you want to be inconspicuous when you're doing this, then no, it's no problem at all.
The thing is, if she's trying to hide it.
I will say that yes, I am probably trying to make it inconspicuous.
Okay, and a lot of you want to notice.
Minnow, at least.
All right. Well,
Likes no-
I'll let that be a roll then. Oppose each other. Chris, you're the defendant. So you roll your inconspicuous against like it's a versus test, so just obstacle 1. And Minnow, you roll your let's see. Is this observation?
I have inconspicuous too. Woo!
Delightful.
Can you fog that into it then?
I has observation.
You use it. This is used against inconspicuous. So yeah, roll observation.
How? Oh, modifier 0.
Your
Arthur
obstacle is
0.
2.
Obstacle 2.
Yeah.
Meh? Oh, wow.
All right. So you don't notice. This passes over like this goes over your head. But both of you mark a routine test towards observation and inconspicuous respectively. So Chris, you mark a routine inconspicuous test, and AJ, you mark a routine observation test.
Okay.
What?
Oh,
Just
yeah, right.
like
Sorry, I'll guide you through this. Right. So, welcome to the game. This is new. So, click into your character sheet, then go into stats and skills, then scroll down until you find observation, and I don't know. Okay,
Like in routine?
yeah, and then you see you have a 1 black dot in observation. So you just click that. You have done that already. And now you have a routine test towards observation. So when you have 3 of those, and then either 2 difficult or 1 challenging test, you then advance your observation.
Okay.
From exponent 3 to 4.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So I see in the rest of the journey, unless anyone wants to do something, the rest of the journey back to the smuggler's home base is pretty quiet.
Yeah, I mean, this is up to you, right? Where do you lead this new ensemble of freaks you've attached to your enterprise, and their huge goat and old man,
And their pets, basically.
Yeah.
Old men are horrible pets, by the way.
Yep.
It takes going a roundabout way, just obviously not to directly lead anyone who might be following us where we're going, but we do eventually, through some ducking and weaving and moving, get to sort of the headquarters.
Yeah. Would you like describe this to us? Like what it looks like and where it's at.
It is located, I want to say, probably in either it's going to be in one of the more rundown areas or one of the mercantile areas of the city.
All right.
The idea is it looks fairly normal. It looks like the kind of place that one could pass on the street or through an alley and not think anything of it, or else know not to just duck in to see what's there, because why the hell would you?
All right. So I have a comment to that, and that is in my mind when I'm envisioning Manning Bridge as a city. Of course, we've established that it's a lot of colonial architecture, but of course, as we also mentioned in the world building session, as opposed to our normal perception of colonial construction being like it's just expanding outwards, and therefore it's kind of uninterrupted. This is a new wave of architectural aesthetic that is being built atop what came before. So it's kind of like intermixed with an older style of building that is then expounded upon to become somewhat colonial in look. But I'm imagining that Manning Bridge as a city is very old. It's probably dated around only a little bit after. It was probably founded a little bit after the unification of Eriastor as a country. And it was founded along the riverbank, right? It started out being a fishing town. So initially the old town is along the river, and then around a couple of 100 years or so ago, some bureaucrat in the capital had this genius idea that we should effectivize like our infrastructure. And then the central government started doing something really smart. They started building straight roads, and that's sort of like and building city and city structure into blocks. So the closer you get to the harbor front, the streets start becoming like curved and turning and intertwining and horrible and maze-like and confusing. And the further out and away from the harbor you come in Manning Bridge, like roads start to become straight and ordered, and buildings start to be built in blocks, and roads don't turn so much. So your enterprise, if it is in an area like you described, would probably be closer to the water, where the streets become like this horrible tangle of confusingness.
Yes.
Fine.
What would I have to do to try and memorize the way we're walking then? Because I'll probably have to get back here.
Do you want to memorize it?
Yes.
I don't foresee a problem with you memorizing it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We can just say that you can remember your way back here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Unless that is explicitly something that Nikki wants to oppose. Right? If he wants you to not know the way to this place, then there is some opposition going on. But aside from that, meh.
No, I think in this instance he is actually going to not oppose it. He's just taking the way. It's the reason they took the long way around is more just because he's worried about other people following them rather than not trusting these two.
Of course, that makes sense. All right, so yeah, you just, as you walk through the streets, to begin with, you're probably not worried about it because everything is so straight and ordered, and like wide thoroughfares, and the places in the city where there are alleyways and like little compact spaces are like in the empty spaces of in the center of blocks, right, where buildings intermix and where they meet. Like those are the alleyways and the side alleys and where the unpleasantness happens. But the way seems so nice and so easily ordered, and then you reach like closer to the harbor and things become much more messy and the streets become narrower. So the huge amount of people that are in the city, which is something that the two of you are definitely not used to, like that huge amount of people, which has grown because there's an influx of refugees, seems even more intense and even tighter packed because everything is narrow and there's crisscrossing clotheslines and a smell of fish and of human offal.
In that case, actually, I think, aside from trying to memorize it, I think Georgie will also take measures to try and cause as little panic as possible.
Yeah.
And Storm will try to help him. As in, there's a large group of people, I'll stand between him and them.
Alright, so you kind of like, you act as kind of wedge people out of the way.
It's quite obvious also to Nikki that the reason he does it isn't so the people doesn't get scared. It's if they get scared and their reaction is to try to fight him, he can push them away.
Yeah.
It gets pretty obvious that the reason he gets between them isn't to save them, it's to keep Stormcrow free from hurt.
Yeah,
so
okay.
You make your way to this house. There is a bit of like, there are a few instances where some people get too close to Stormcrow as you move through the city, and these people have varying reactions, but none of them react with normalcy at all. They are all terrified in one way or another.
Just scream and run.
Yeah. Either screaming or running or dropping what they're holding and staring horrified. And you come through an alleyway where there's some drug user sitting there like riding out the last waves of his high, and as you pass by, he just curls into a little ball and just starts kind of like slowly like scratching at his temples as you move past. But eventually,
Yeah, I don't think it's any doubt that Stormcrow does not like crowds.
then in that case, like this area of town, you find to be both a blessing and a curse because people are definitely much more tighter packed here. But this place is also like you might find it a bit suffocating. In fact, you will very likely find it a bit suffocating. But I won't tell you what your character feels. But like it's somewhat tall buildings in very narrow streets. Like they leer and they're not exactly straight in their construction.
Yeah, that sounds.
And all of them are, of course, like every building that is more than one story is jettied, so they leer even more. But when that is said, this is also the kind of area where you could easily get lost and where you can find places where there aren't people. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds in that regard. But not to harp on about that. Let's have you, Chris, finish the explanation of the building when you arrive at that, because now we know what the neighborhood is like.
Yep, still relatively fairly nondescript, a bit patchwork with some very slapdash repairs of areas of it. And there is the building itself has a decently sized walled courtyard, which originally probably would have been used for storing goods and kind of still is, but it's mostly just used as kind of an area to transition from the world outside through into the underground world of the smugglers.
All right.
I don't know what else to say. I'm not good with describing buildings.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I have a
Okay.
picture in my mind of this place.
Okay, that's good.
An nondescript place where you don't think smugglers.
It's a place, right? It's the kind of
Yeah.
building you walk past.
Exactly, that is the point.
All right. Yeah. So we'll I think we'll grab another break, and
Yep.
then when we return, we'll see the budding initial stages of this partnership and what that will be. So yeah, stick around for that, and we'll be right back.